What if I told you that the grammar you use could literally rewrite your reality? Today, we're diving into a really fascinating system called quantum grammar. Its claim that the precise, almost mathematical use of language can do exactly that. We're going to look right at its core principles to figure out how it proposes to turn simple words into real-world power. Okay, so it all starts with a familiar idea, manifesting. But in this system, this isn't about just wishful thinking or vision boards. Nope, it's framed as a very specific, almost technical process. It's about taking something abstract, a thought, and making it tangible, real, something you can actually sense in the physical world. So if thought is on one side of a canyon and physical reality is on the other, how do you get across? What's the tool you use to build that bridge? Well, according to this framework, that tool is language. And this is key. We're not talking about just any casual conversation. We're talking about a very specific, structured, almost mathematical form of communication. So let's really lean into this idea of language as a bridge. We're going to explore how, from this point of view, the words we pick don't just describe our world, they're actually the building blocks that construct it. And that brings us right to the main event, quantum grammar. As we're about to see, this is presented as something way, way more profound than the grammar we all had to learn back in school. So what is quantum grammar exactly? Well, its proponents say it's not just a dusty book of rules. First, it's a mindset, a whole new way of thinking. Second, it's a tool you can use to correct your own thoughts before you even speak. But here's the kicker. It's called a precise, mathematical, certified technology. The claim is that language isn't some subjective art form. It's an objective science, like physics or engineering. Okay, so if it's a technology, how do you use it? The application is something called forensic language analysis. This involves taking every single word and putting it under a microscope to see if it's, mathematically valid. But that's the big question, right? How does this actually work in practice? It sounds pretty abstract. So let's just walk through a real example from the source material and see this whole process in action. All right, let's take the word entify. Step 1, you look it up. Check its origin. If you can't find it, you move to step 2. You deconstruct it. You break it into its parts. Entify. Now this is where the rules kick in. The system identifies en as a prefix and phi as a suffix. In quantum grammar, these little add-ons are considered modifiers that actually corrupt a word's pure core meaning. So because it's been modified, entify is thrown out. It's not a true, binding, or what they call a contract word. So, after that whole forensic deep dive, entify is rejected. It's invalid. The correct, mathematically pure word to use is manifest. And if you have to use the invalid word, you have to clearly mark it as wrong by putting it in brackets. And this notation is absolutely crucial to the system. By putting a word like entify in brackets, you're basically sending a signal. You're saying, hey, I know this word is grammatically garbage by these rules, but I'm using it to show you what the other person meant to say. It's a way of flagging an error in someone else's language while still being able to communicate. Now take a second. Imagine applying that intense, forensic analysis not just to one word, but to every single word in every law, contract, and document out there. The consequences, as described by the source, are, well, they're nothing short of cataclysmic. I mean, listen to this quote from the source material. It says, applying this grammar is like dropping a nuclear bomb in a densely populated city of language. So we're not talking about a small tweak here. We're talking about completely leveling the entire linguistic landscape as we know it. And what's the fallout from this so-called bomb? Well, the claim is that it exposes this deep, hidden corruption in our language. And all of a sudden, official documents, laws, rules, contracts, they're all revealed to be just fiction babble. Why? Because they're built on a foundation of these invalid, modified words, and because of that, they lack any real authority. So, if all the existing legal documents are just meaningless babble, what's the alternative? This is where it gets really wild. This leads to the most radical claim of all. By mastering this grammar, you can supposedly create and operate within your very own sovereign legal jurisdiction. This basically sets up two competing realities. You've got their court, the conventional legal system, which is described as a ship in dry dock, just stuck, using this fiction babble that even the judges supposedly don't understand. And then you have your court, which operates under its own flag, using the mathematical precision of quantum grammar. In your court, you're the one holding others accountable. And this is the ultimate application. This is where the rubber meets the road. A practitioner would take a legal demand, a summons, a notice, and forensically deconstruct it, word by word, right there on the paper. The goal is to prove it's just nonsensical babble, according to these rules, and by doing so, show that it has zero authority or jurisdiction over you. But, and this is a huge but, with all this perceived power comes a very stark warning, and this is straight from the source itself. This is not a game. Using this technology without mastering it completely is, and I quote, like giving a loaded gun to a child. The outcome, it says, will only be harm. So when you boil it all down, what's the end game here? It's nothing less than a total revolution. The ultimate goal is to throw out all existing law, every statute, every contract, the whole shebang, and just start over from scratch with a blank slate on a level playing field that's defined by the supposed mathematical certainty of quantum grammar. And all of this leaves us with one final pretty provocative thought. If we accept the basic premise here for just a moment, that our words truly do build our world, then we have to ask ourselves, what kind of reality does this particular grammar ultimately create?